Hello weirdos. Sorry, this week has been really crazy and really bad for me mental health wise. So the fact that I'm actually sitting down to film something at all, I think is a win. I didn't bother with my usual setup today. I turned the lights on behind me, but I didn't go get out my bigger light. The rest of the light that you're seeing is all from light from like my curtains that I have up and just what's coming inside from the window. Because it's not been a good week for me at all. I got news that my uncle was hospitalized because he had a heart attack, and that kind of just really messed me up because I'm just gonna say it plainly, I'm not ready to bury any more family members. And yeah, so I've been trying to find things to distract me, to pull my headspace out of where it is. And I can't do everything that I normally get to do. So I originally intended to film this video earlier, but I didn't get to. Just because that's not the way mental health works. But I am filming it today, which is the day that it's supposed to go up. Oh, well. So what am I talking about today? Well, I tell you about my reading plans for November. I was really excited for this November because it's the first November that I've been on the internet that I feel like I can actually like fully participate in, because like the other Novembers I was in school, and November is always a really, really stressful time during school just because it's like all like the major projects and stuff are due. But I don't know if I'll be able to fully participate this November either, because it just kind of depends on how my uncle recovers. So I'm gonna tell you all my plans, and I don't know how many of them I'm actually going to fulfill. And I've tried to give myself just like a little bit of space to try and work on this stuff, but I don't know how much of it I'm actually gonna do. There's usually 2-issue readathons that I participate in during November. The first one being Nonfiction November, which we're gonna talk about, my plans for November. And I usually participate in the Indigathon, but I'm not really sure what happened with that because I haven't seen any information about that. But there is a different Indigenous readathon, and that's the Skoden Readathon. So I've decided to participate in that. So let's just get down to brass tacks and talk about the books. So first one I'm going to talk about is the Skoden Readathon because it appears first in my list of books, or first in my thing that I wrote down. So the Skoden Readathon is done by Native Lady Book Warrior. I liked her video a lot. She was just really excited, and I'm glad that she's so excited to be sharing like part of herself and her native heritage with the world, and doing really all of us here on BookTube a favor. And it's actually her video that kind of like jump started like my need to like sit down and make this video and just like talk about it and think, oh, November's coming up first, I need to. So I was just to say like thank you for trying to pull me out a little bit of my like depression this week. It was very helpful, and you did not intentionally do that, but thanks. So it's a bingo board. Fully functioning me would love to be able to insert all of the beautiful images that were created. Don't know if any of that will happen. So if there are the lovely images of the bingo board and the stuff for this readathon, that's amazing. Good for future me for having my shit together. So no promises there, but I have the prompts written down physically here. So first things first is all of the books have to be written by an Indigenous person. That's the big thing about this readathon. The first is a queer book or like a two-spirit representation, either that being the character or the author. And the first one I picked out, it's Elso by Darcy Little Badger. Again, there might be an image of this book. I wanted to go buy it because it popped up a lot on like the book list that I saw last year, and I was very, very intrigued by it. And I wanted to go get myself an actual physical copy, but that's not how this week worked out. So there you go. Or by the time that I pulled myself together enough to like start thinking about this, it would not have been here in time for this video. So who knows what's gonna happen like later. Sorry, I just got a message from my mom saying that she might call me soon, so I might have to stop making this video. But hence it's my life right now. So anyway, that's that book. And since I don't have it physically with me right now, I might not get to it just because I might forget about it, even though I've written it down and put it places. We're just gonna kind of see how November goes. So that's that one. Then the next prompt is the EmmaAbe book cover. So this is a book cover that has like red, blue, yellow, and I think black. Yes. And so for that, I decided to pick up a book that I got kind of recently. Not super recently, but when I first moved to Boston, or slightly before that, and that is Broken Spears. This is the Aztec account of the conquest of Mexico. This is edited by Miguel Leon Portilla. So I'm not 100% sure if the editor slash person here, Miguel Leon Portilla, is actually native himself, but this is like the translations from Quetzalcoatl. If I pronounce that right, my brain not working. But it is of like native people of their time. It's their accounts fully translated into English for some of the first times ever. So I thought it was appropriate to honor the fact that if it wasn't for like that the fact that these people are still like their accounts still matter, even necessarily though the translator themselves may or may not be native. And I ran out of juice for researching. So that's this one. That's the Broken Spears. I was super jazzed when I got this. Anyway, the next prompt is Beyond the Lower 48. So basically read a book about Native communities that's outside of like the continuous states, United States of America. So you could read about natives from like Hawaii and stuff like that. You really wanted to stay in the United States. But for this one, I decided to go with I, Rigoberta Menchú. This is an Indian woman in Guatemala. This is, I really like, so I've read the introduction to this, so spoiler alert. But this is done through a series of interviews between Rigoberta and another woman. I'm not sure about the actual nativeness of the woman, but it's basically rearranged transcripts from those interviews. And yeah, this is about a native like woman's experience growing up in Guatemala. So that is obviously outside of, the continuous United States. And I was talking to one of my colleagues who teaches Latin American history and is super jazzed that I'm reading this right now, because maybe in the next semester we can have some like discussions, and that would be really cool if I could go sit in Noah's class and have those discussions with those people. So yeah, I'm really excited for this one too. The next prompt is short story or poetry. And for that one, I like had a different book picked out, and then I was looking through what other people had chosen, or I was just looking up like native authors, and I realized that I totally forgotten about this book, that I own this book, and that is The Lone Ranger and Tonto Fist Fight in Heaven. This is by Sherman Alexie. This is a series of short stories of what it was like growing up on a reservation. I forget the exact reservation, but all the short stories take place on the reservation and around the reservation. And this I actually picked up because it is required reading for some of my students in one of their classes. I do not know which one it is. And I've been wanting to read all of the stuff that they have to read so that I can, foster connections and stuff like that. That's this one. I completely forgotten that I'd owned it because I put it in a bag. Oh my gosh. So the next challenge, it's not really a prompt, is to read native authors for 7 days straight. So it's only native authors. So I think that's a really cool challenge. And now people are honking outside. I do not know if I will be able to do this one. I will try my best. But again, who knows what November is going to look like. So the next one is read a book by someone who you haven't read any of their stuff. So for that one, I'm going to go with the Lone Ranger one. I thought really hard about doing different books for all of these prompts. And I decided, no, I'm not going to do that to myself because I'm not going to be able to do 9 different books. So I'm reusing books. So there you go. The next one is middle grade or children's book. And for that, I decided to go with Race to the Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. I've read some of Rebecca Roanhorse's other stuff, and by other stuff, the other big book that she wrote that is currently escaping my brain. And the fantasy one, the one that's got the black and the blue and the gold on the cover. The house, the sun one. Welcome to my brain right now. It's just not functioning. So I picked up this one because it's also in the Rick Riordan verse. So I know it's going to be doing fun things with mythology. And I've owned this one for a while and haven't gotten around to it. So maybe this is the kick in the pants. Next one is SGJ Rendon or Winden, and SGJ stands for Stephen Graham Jones. So basically read a horror, mystery, or thriller book. And so this was another one where I do not have a physical copy of it, and I want to read My Heart is a Chainsaw. This is by Stephen Graham Jones. I think this is his latest book. It came out last year, and I was very piqued by the cover of it, and I've read The Only Good Indians, and I like The Only Good Indians. So I figured that more of Stephen Graham Jones is always good to be reading. So that's why I picked that one. So same rule goes as before. Do not know if I will actually manage to get my hands on it and or read it because of previously things that I've said in this video. The next prompt is the nonfiction prompt, and for that one I chose to specifically choose EmmaAbe Books just to kind of give me more of a kick in my pants to read this because I want to read it. And the very last prompt is a bonus prompt, and that is like a graphic novel or a comic of some sort. And this is the one where I've said, I've told myself, it's okay to not pick one. So I'm not planning on reading a comic or graphic novel. I'm allowing myself this. So anyway, those are the books that I'm planning to read for that video. So let me know in the comments down below, are you planning on participating in the Skoden reading challenge? And or what graphic novel would you choose, since I'm not going to be reading a graphic novel? So let me know. I'm be very fascinated. So the next readathon that I'm going to be doing is Nonfiction November. This is run by Book Olive. Again, links might be in the description. So there's always 4 prompts. So this year the prompts are record, element, border, and secret. And I'm going to be honest, I did not think too hard about what books are going to be filling in for certain prompts. I literally went to the Storygraph page and I looked for books that I already had on my shelves. So for some of these, I can't really give you a good explanation as to why I picked what, because my brain, when I was picking the books that I wanted to do for this challenge, was doing it kind of like putting books as placeholders before giving myself time to like reflect that I was supposed to have last week before fully picking my final books. And then I got the call about my uncle, and that didn't happen. So here we are. But as the book olive always says, the most important thing is that just that you're reading nonfiction. And I am. So why are people on motorcycles outside? I don't like that. So the first prompt is record, and for that I chose to go with The Children of Ash and Elm. This is by Neil Price. This is all about prehistoric Vikings. So kind of trying to maybe see what we derive from the record of what we have left of these people to come up with the history. So that's that one. The next is Element, and for that one I decided to go with a memoir, and that is Below the Edge of Darkness. This is by Dr. Edith Widder, and this is a memoir of exploring light and life in the deep sea, and stuff gets kind of wonky down there, so there might be different elements down there, but also like what it is like to be a organism just will be different. And I like the cover on this. I find it nice. So that's that one. The next one's Border, and for that I went with World of Wonders. This is another book that my students have to read. This is by In Praise of Fireflies, Whale Sharks, and Other Astonishments. This is by Amy Nitsukuma Hatatil. And honestly, I don't know how this connects to Border. People put it on Border. Maybe it's just because it's exploring things that may be on the border of extinction? I don't know. But I want to read this because my kids are reading it, so I decided to go with this one. I have solid reasoning for this right now. It's going great. And the very last one is Secret, and so for that one I decided to go with Covered with Night. This is a story of murder and indigenous justice in early America by Nicole Eustace, and this is a book that is going to document a crime that happened, how that kind of framed a lot of like early like American, once America became a thing, and Native relationships. And this is a story that I have not heard of before, and I don't think that America in general does a good job at acknowledging the amount of information that we borrowed and or stole and ideas for our government that was founded based off of Native ideas. So that's why it's Secret. I'm getting off my soapbox now. There you go. Those are my books that I am going to try to read. I'll do my best. No guarantees. Now I have to try and edit this. I don't know how that's gonna go. I don't like today. It's a Saturday and I don't have work, and work has been very, very helpful for me in this time. And so I'm all alone, and I don't want to be alone right now, and that really sucks. So, I might edit this and then actually head to work, because I know there are robotics kids there right now, and I spent literally all day with them yesterday on Friday. I got off at work at 4, and I was with them literally until 10 p.m. because I did not want to go home. So I'm probably gonna head over there if I finish this video, and bye.